I could also mention that prior to joining Tradex, I've been with Tradex just under 5 years from now. And prior to joining Tradex, I was with the Bank of Canada for 32 years and was an officer in the Financial Markets Department for many years. And also, for about 10 years, I was responsible for the Canada Savings Bond Program. So I'm very familiar, particularly with the so-called payroll savings market, where it's amazing with compound interest and growth in equities. If one says systematically, it's amazing how fast their money can grow and really build into a real reasonable nest egg.
Well, that was my experience exactly. My regular savings built up over the years, and the funds have performed extremely well. I mean, when you've got a company like Phillips Haber North managing your equity fund, you expect performance, and you can be sure that you're working with a very highly reputable investment dealer. So that's been a very good experience, and I think we can say the same for the bond fund, which is managed by TD Bank, and by our global fund, which is run by a management group called the City of London.
That's right. One other thing too, talking about management, and Alan, I should have mentioned this right off the bat. One other thing that makes us unique among mutual fund companies in Canada is that we have a completely independent board of directors, except for myself. We have 10 members of our board of directors. I'm the only person that works for management. The other 9 directors are completely independent of management, and as such, of course, are a watchdog over what I do and what the management team does. And they volunteer their time for a small honorarium to provide this service. And the quality of our board of directors is unsurpassed in Canada. I don't want to leave anyone out, but let me just run down. We have 2 former ambassadors. We have a Rhodes Scholar who's a former deputy minister. We have the chief executive officer of Nunavut Trust. We have the chief financial officer of the Canadian Tourism Commission. We have an undersecretary of the Treasury Board. We have a retired research scientist. We have the former chief ethics officer or chief advisor to the ethics officer of Canada. It's a tremendously strong board, and something that again, we're very proud of. And we have these checks and balances on ourselves, and we're unique in having such an independent board of directors from any other mutual fund company in Canada.
Well, you might want to just say a word about our investment savings account.
This is something also that we're rather proud of. We offer an investment savings account called Tradex Investment Savings that currently is paying 3.75% daily interest savings account. And the funds are held in trust at Manulife Bank, which is a fully owned subsidiary of Manulife Financial, which is, of course, one of Canada's largest financial institutions. The deposits are CDIC insured up to $100,000 in accordance with regular CDIC insurance for all deposit-taking institutions. 3.75% daily interest account. You get full interest for every day that the money is held in the account. And just by comparison, for example, the government just came out with a new issue of Canada Savings Bonds, and it's yielding 3%. Now that money's locked in or guaranteed for a full year, and ours isn't. Ours can go up and down. If interest rates go up, ours will go up. If interest rates go down, ours will go down. But again, we're offering 3.75% daily interest on CDIC insured deposits. That account, interestingly enough, 2 years ago we had our clients had about $2.5 million in that account. A year ago they had about $6 million in that account, and today collectively they've got about $11.6 million in that account. So it just goes to show how successful that account's been.
I guess one of the reasons we're pleased to have this opportunity is that most of us feel that Tradex is not as well known as it should be. We have not spent a lot of money on advertising, and we've relied pretty much on word of mouth and testimonials from existing shareholders. So we're really anxious to broaden our base even further, and this is an opportunity, I think, to try to reach some people who may not be members of Tradex or may not be aware of the range of funds and services offered by Tradex. And perhaps, Michael, I think you and I agree that the 2 investment advisors that Bob has Blair Cooper and Brian Marshall do a superb job, and we've heard this from all sorts of people, so they can offer really very, very good advice to investors, not only in the Tradex funds, but as you mentioned, in other funds as well.
Well, very much so. Brian has been with us about 15 years now. Brian's got a BCom from Carleton and is also a certified financial planner, and just has done a wonderful job over those 15 years. And he also does he's our compliance officer, does all of our systems, and has a big workload with clients also. And Blair has an MBA from Queen's University. He joined us, I guess it's 6 years ago now. And prior to that, he was with Bank of Montreal for 13 years in increasing levels of increasing responsibility with the Bank of Montreal. So we have these people, both of them have just wonderful expertise in the area of building portfolios, giving financial advice. I don't think there's two better financial advisors in the city of Ottawa, perhaps not in Canada, who can build a portfolio and give people peace of mind in what they're doing, and also give them the best products available. Because we're all paid on salary, we're not chasing, unlike most others, we're not chasing a commission, or we're not putting in something into a product that pays a bigger commission or a bigger fee. We're putting people into what we think is, or we're advising them to go into what we think is the best product for them, even though the fees on those are usually a lot lower than other products that other people would be encouraging them to buy. So we're just very, very fortunate that we can give unbiased advice. It's not driven by, it's not fee driven as such, as they say in the industry. Alan, you go back even further than Michael as an investor in trading.
Well, he's of course much younger than I am. When I joined the Trade Commissioner Service not long after Tradex was formed. And as I mentioned earlier, Tom Fletcher at that time was the Director General of the Trade Commissioner Service. And as part of our training program, we actually had a briefing. I can still remember a half-hour briefing on the benefits of becoming a member of Tradex. So in those days, the fund was promoted very much by the service. I think we've been a little frustrated in recent years that we haven't had that same entree, and it seems now that it's difficult to provide this kind of advice to public servants, certainly much more so than it was. But so I joined Tradex in 1963, I think it was, when I was going off to West Africa, and have been a member of Tradex ever since. And as Bob mentioned, your savings accumulate. The down payment for our first house came from the original Tradex investment, so it's been very good to me.
I didn't mention, by the way, that for people that don't know, Alan is the former Chief Executive Officer of Atomic Energy of Canada, and also was Canada's ambassador to Australia. And Michael has been Canada's ambassador to both Turkey and to Chile, and also was the Inspector General of the DFATE for a number of years before they retired. And they both joined the Tradex board a few years ago, and we'd be delighted to have them on the board. Alan, you mentioned we don't do a lot of advertising, and that's the truth. We virtually, I would say 90% of our new clients come via word of mouth from satisfied clients. We've just found it not cost effective to do mass media advertising. It's so costly, and when you're out there trying to attract attention versus the banks and the big boys, it's very, very difficult. So what we do is we rely mainly on word of mouth, and then on direct mail into various government departments. We have a newsletter, we have brochures, we have other information. Of course, our prospectus and the requirements the reporting requirements that we have, a semi-annual management report of fund performance, and of course all our financial statements. All of that information, in addition to word of mouth or phoning us and asking for, is available on our website. And our website's a very easy website to identify. It's www.tradex.ca. That's www.tradex.ca. And it has a wealth of information about the company, about why we think investors would want to invest through us, and what the advantages of Tradex are, plus all of our quarterlies going back 2 or 3 years and our annual statements and those types of things. So I'll leave it with a pitch to say www.tradex.ca.